Welcome to the Learning Experience powered by CAST. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly Suding.
And I'm Luis Perez.
And I'm Brian Dean.
We are three educators here ready to break down barriers until learning has no limits. Let's do this. Hey friends, we're back. Thanks for being with us again. When I say us, I mean my friends, Louise and Brian, and another incredible guest who we're going to introduce here momentarily. So, hey, Louise and Brian, how's it going?
What's going on, Kelly? You know, it's a new season. I'm super excited. And as you know, I always got a new phrase that I want to try out. So mine today is I got a glide in my stride and I got a little pep in my step and I'm ready to get at it.
Love it.
That's awesome, Brian. I don't have a phrase, but I'm feeling pretty good today and excited for our guest, who is somebody that we love near and dear to our hearts at CAST.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this conversation, as always. So, friends, I was just listening to the radio yesterday, and I heard on the news that the pumpkin spice drinks are already being released, and it's August. So my question, are you team pumpkin spice? Tell me your thoughts about this.
I can tell you this. I am team pumpkin spice if it were really weird stuff like pumpkin spice gum or pumpkin spice mayo or like a ketchup that's pumpkin spiced. But like as a general trend, it's not my favorite. But I will say my favorite trend of the fall is definitely the decorative gourds. I love a good gourd, y'all. Because they're bumpy and they're ugly and they're not used for anything else. I think they're perfect.
That sounds about right. What about you, Louise?
Can I be team tea?
Oh.
Because I didn't grow up with any of these things. And I actually grew up on a coffee farm. My family grew coffee. And so I grew up with the smell of coffee, but I don't drink coffee at all. So maybe it was overexposure. So I just don't drink coffee very much. But I think a nice calming tea is always a good thing.
Oh, very good. So what I hear you both saying is you're not necessarily team pumpkin spice. It doesn't get you in the ready for the fall. But so while I was thinking about the pumpkin spice, I was looking it up. Like, is it really being released? Like, it feels like it's so early. And then I got down this huge rabbit hole and I discovered that some restaurants have these secret menu items, like off the menu items. Do you know anything about that or any places like that?
Yeah, there's a burger joint in California, In-N-Out Burger. So many of the people in our audience probably know, but they do have an off-the-menu set of things that you can order. So that's how you know you're a regular, right? If you order off the menu.
Right? It just feels like getting left out of the cool kids club again. So
yes.
I'm not down for it. You know, like you're not in the know. You know what I mean? So, but I think that pumpkin spice now has transcended the signal for fall, right? Like, I think that it's beyond that. I think it should just become a regular staple because everybody wants it all the time. I think the true signal for fall is when you show up to like a cider mill and everybody's dressed like Han Solo. You know, they got high boots on and they got the vest on.
Well, you're
that
right,
I think
Brian.
is the true one. Yeah,
you're right, Brian, because it's not just the drinks and the things we associate with fall. Halloween stores are already popping up, so choose wisely. Choose your costume wisely, because it's already that season.
That's right. Isn't there Summerween? Like July is considered Summerween, where you can decorate for Halloween then?
No.
I thought I heard that.
It probably is, but should it be?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it. I think that's so fun. Use your decorations more than once a year. So when Louise, when you said the In-N-Out burger, that's what made me think, oh my gosh. And then Brian, you said like the cool kids, like how are you supposed to know that? I'm like, I need a visual. I feel like I've missed out on so many things. And I feel like sometimes accessibility in tech is like that. Things are hidden away when it should be just the front and the center. Like, yeah, sure, you can have captions, but only if you click 6 menus, you spin around twice, and then you whisper some magic word. And it feels like accessibility sometimes is treated as an Easter egg instead of something that's baked in to our system for every single one. So with that said, and that's really the heart of inclusive technology systems, we're making access the main menu and not just that secret menu. And that's
Well, Kelly, you deserve a star for just bringing it around that way.
Right?
That
I was just
was
gonna say something too, Louise. Like that is
that
just
was amazing.
right. Someone took some Segway classes, right? Like someone is on the host mode.
What other
oh,
podcasts are you gonna go from In-N-Out Burger to accessibility?
Boom.
boom, here we go. Here we go. And it's going to work because this is exactly why today's conversation matters so much because we want accessibility shouldn't be the secret menu item, right? It should be the main dish. See what I did there? On every school's
You
plate.
better stop now. You better stop now. You're gonna get arrested.
She's
Come on, girl.
butter on a roll.
Speaking of roll, we're gonna roll in our guest. Oh my gosh. So you're gonna know
See,
our guest Mia loves puns, and so I'm just feeling the energy. I'm feeling it. So our
Yes,
guest
I think there's definitely some energy, and I wish people could see what I'm seeing right now because we were talking about burgers and I found my little taco. So I love the fact that we're going to be talking about it. We're going to talk about it. Get it? We're going to talk about inclusive technology, which is one of my
Yes.
favorite things to talk about.
Yes. See, friends. So, our listeners, our friend Mia is holding up a little taco. So, if you know her, you love her. Her approaches to inclusive education is passionate and is always with purpose. And I've actually witnessed working with her for years firsthand, and it's quite an incredible experience. So, her dedication to her career to ensuring that students with disabilities, and that includes those with more complex needs, are provided with an education that is not only inclusive, is equitable, and it's accessible. And she's been doing that for over 25 years. And she's works, when I talk about tirelessly to remove barriers. And that's not just for our students, but it's also for educators and families, which all of those are such an important role for our learners. And she also has a deep expertise in the integration of educational and assistive technology. And we love her even more because she has a true love for universal design for learning. So with that said, we're so excited to welcome the one and only Mia Laudato to our podcast today. Yeah,
yay!
thanks for joining us. Whoop, whoop.
Wow, that is some sort of introduction. I don't even know what I did to deserve that, but thank you all. It is so exciting to be here and to talk about the things that I love, but I think we all love. And I can't wait to get in it. This is going to be a good time.
Yes. And so, Mia, we would love to hear about your journey into the why of what you're currently doing, what you will always continue to do, how, like, what's your role now and what brought you here?
Wow. Okay. Well, that is quite a task right there. I'm going to try to do an elevator speech on all of that right now. Um, those of you who are in my stage of life, if you hear something like Jesse's Girl, you also might be using too much Ben Gay. That's kind of where I am. So I've been doing this thing in education for quite some time. Um, and what brought me here is an interesting story. I think sometimes people assume that a lot of people who are in education have always been in education, and I wanted nothing to do with teaching when I was going to school. I remember this moment in fourth grade where they were asking us what we wanted to be when we grew up, and all these people were raising their hand, blah blah blah, and my teacher actually asked me like, "Oh, well, Mia, would you like to be a teacher?" And I was like, "No," and she was so surprised, and I was like, no, I see what you guys do all day, and it looks really tough. I don't know if I want to have to deal with all the behaviors in these classrooms. Like that was my perspective as a fourth grader. So I didn't go immediately into teaching, although I always had a love for, people in general, the stories, human stories. And my undergraduate was in advertising, marketing, and theater. And then right before I graduated, I had all these internships, and I just had this moment where it was like I just didn't think I could do that for the rest of my life and be fulfilled. So I called up an aunt and we had a long conversation. She's like, "Well, what would you do if, you had all the money in the world?" And I said, I think that I would, do something fulfilling to me, and that is to work, with students, with disabilities and other challenges, because my cousin growing up, I connected with when we were very, very young. And she was born neurotypical and then got a fever and then became disabled. And she made a mark on my life. And back then, she didn't have a communication device, and she really wasn't able to clearly communicate to adults. But you know how kids can just communicate to each other?
Mhm.
We did. I don't know how we did, but I just got her, she got me, and she had always touched my life.
Hmm.
And so that inspiration, for me, and that led me to a bigger cause, which ended up having me get my master's in special education, because that's what I decided was something that I wanted to do and explore. And now I'm here. And for me, inclusive education has always been really important, because it never seemed right to me that all students weren't being educated, together and having the same experiences. And then I have a nephew, who is autistic and who I absolutely adore, who is a big influence in my life. And yeah, so that has brought me through this journey of going back to teaching after doing some other things and having some other experiences. And I most recently, before CITES, worked in Florida, supporting 7 districts for 10 years. And that was after teaching inclusive and in separate class settings for a while. And I love the work. I love the work. I love the kids. I love the families. Yeah, that's it.
I love that personal connection,
Right.
Mia, which is often what brings a lot of us into the work. And if you don't mind, I know that more recently in your life, accessibility has become even more important to you. Would you speak a little bit to that? And also, by the way, I wanted to point out that I met Mia way before we started working at CAS, and I think I met Kelly as well before she
Mhm.
started working at CAS and Brian. So it's funny. The other day, Mia, you and I were talking about this, that it's not just a job.
Mm.
It really
Mm-mm.
is a calling. It's a vocation. It's something that we would do even outside of work, right? We're advocates.
Yeah.
We really feel this deeply. So would you mind speaking to that, like what accessibility means to you today? Because I know it's become a little bit even stronger of a
Mhm.
force in your life.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Louise. So recently, I would say in the past 7 to 10 years, I have experienced hearing loss, and I have tinnitus or tinnitus, potato, potato. And so that has led me to getting hearing aids, and I see myself as a part of the disability community, and I'm learning a lot. Like it's
Mm.
and the disability community says this often, which is it is a community that if you live long enough, you will belong to, right? It's
Yeah,
like almost a
that's the truth,
privilege.
right?
Right? So
Yeah, like
for
that's
those
it. It's
people
not
out
about
there.
when you need it. It's about you know what I mean? It's not about if you're going to need it. It's about when you're going to need it, right? Like you're going to need accessible tools at some point, right? Like that's just that's how we progress, right? Whether it be corrective lenses or hearing aids or prosthetics or whatever it may be. Yeah.
You're so right, Brian? And I know it's something that's touched all of us at different points. And
Mhm.
I think that when you go through something like that, it becomes even more important.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that, but I think that's just life, right?
Sure.
Unfortunately, sometimes you have to wait for something to happen to you. In my case, right, I've been in the work, and however, I still would say that it has been an interesting learning curve, being part of the deaf and hard of hearing community, and I'm really just learning to what it's like to be hard of hearing, and to need those supports that I gotta say, as a special education teacher, and I see myself as a teacher. I remember when I first started 30 some years ago, I was like, oh, I'm just a teacher. Now it's like my proudest, like you said, Louise, vocation. It's like, it's my proudest thing to say, I'm a teacher, right? So for all those
Right.
teachers out there listening, for all those para educators, you are not just anything. Like, be proud of that. Um,
I
and
would encourage you pause the podcast right now and say, "I am a teacher" with pride.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Mia, for that
Yes,
prompt.
absolutely. Own that. I am a teacher, and and I have a disability, which, for a while I didn't even want to say because I didn't feel like, just having hearing aids, right? I was like,
Hmm.
oh, do I want to, I don't want to take that from anybody, but it is what it is. And I have a disability, and that's okay. And disability is not a bad word. I know you guys have said that on this podcast multiple times. But that has definitely helped me appreciate some things and learn some things much better. And I will say, just because you're a special education teacher does not mean that you know a lot about accessibility.
Sure.
Right. And I am join my club, people. Like, I am the first one to admit that as a special education teacher, I did not know a lot about all of the accessibility that's out there.
Well,
Did I know a lot about certain things? Yes, absolutely. But teachers, much like doctors, SLPs, all those things, we have our specialties, right? So we have our content
right.
area and we have our things that we focus on. And you can say, oh, I love UDL or I practice inclusive practices, but that doesn't mean that you also know about accessibility or about this area, about that area, because these things really are very nuanced, right? So
Right.
as I started to learn more about accessibility, because also becoming hard of hearing, right? It kind of all happened at the same time. Um, it it became something that I really wanted other people to understand, and to share with them. And I just so appreciate people who love accessibility and learn about accessibility, not because they have to, but because they see that it's so important, to remove
Right.
barriers for other people. And like we say, you
Mm.
can't have UDL without accessibility. And
Mhm.
and right, and I know there's a lot of people out there that might be hearing this for the first time, even though if you've listened to this podcast, you've heard it multiple times. But stop right now and think about that. You cannot have universal design for learning without accessibility. You cannot have inclusive technology ecosystems without accessibility. And here's the best part: if you don't know about accessibility, that's okay, because you can learn just like I did.
Thank
I
you.
wasn't born into it.
That's
I
it.
just learned about it 10 years ago, and I just kept learning. And it doesn't matter what age you are, you
Yeah.
can still learn. Like, even my mom, when she was alive, like, we gave her an iPad at 85, and her with her Italian accent, and she was like, oh my God, how is it going to understand me? It doesn't even understand you. All of those things are
Yeah.
nuanced, and it's amazing because you can learn at any age. My mom could do it, you could do it. So
So there's a lot of nuggets in there that I want to kind of pull out real quick. One, the first one was like you said that you felt like, oh, I have hearing aids, but I don't want to. I at first I didn't want to say I was part of the disability community because I don't want to take from other people. And I think that that's a huge thing that happens, right? And I don't, it doesn't matter if you are, if it's entering into the hard of hearing or deaf community, or entering into the the neurodiverse community, whatever it is. We often feel like there's only so much bandwidth, and like we don't want to take from that bandwidth. The fact of the matter is, nobody can steal your son. You know what I mean? Like you entering into that doesn't take away from my spot in the sun. Like, I'm still getting my warmth, and you should be getting yours too. And I think that that's a common misconception that we hold. I think the other one is that I really like that you called out is when you said, look, you don't have to know everything about accessibility. I'll be honest with you. I did not teach. I did when I was teaching. I did not teach it in a place where I encountered a lot of people who were low vision or blind, or a lot of people that were hard of hearing or deaf. I encountered behaviors, right? So all of my interventions, all of the things I know, all of the strategies that I had are really deeply rooted in how do we work within behaviors and explosive behaviors, right? But I did have a base knowledge of the other communities, and I think that's okay. I think that's exactly what because you can't boil the ocean, right? Like Joy Zabala said it to me one time, and I got to be honest with you, it has stuck with me as one of the best phrases I've ever heard. You cannot boil the ocean, but that doesn't mean you can't take a pot at a time. And I think that's kind of what you're saying. It's like you don't have to know everything, and when it comes up or when it begins to, like you can learn more, and you can learn that at any age. So I really wanted to call those out, and because I know your passion for your work and I know the projects that you're on now, I really appreciate those perspectives.
And accessibility is not pie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not. There's a
Yeah.
number of slices, and we all have to sort of, get what we get. Accessibility is a creative endeavor. We create it, right? And we can make more of it. So it's not pie.
Mhm.
Speaking of going back to our coffee shop analogy or
Right.
metaphor,
There we go. That we started in the beginning. That's for sure.
got me thinking about food now throughout the podcast.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
I will take that on. Thanks, Brian, for saying that. To that point, I have to say, I've taught like pre-K through adult. My master's actually was back in the day. Remember EBD, emotional
Hmm.
behavioral disorders and learning
Hmm.
disabilities, like how the language has changed and all that stuff. And so I have definitely, and I've worked with gifted, I've worked with you know uh, students with disabilities, my main focus being autism and complex disabilities, later in my teaching career. However, you said something that I want people to definitely hear, which is when you come to this, when you come to your learning experience, right, which is right here, the learning the learning experience podcast, uh, you don't have to own it all. You don't have to be the expert in it. When I was in my former job, they told me my title was um, technology, what was it? Specialist. And I was like, oh no, 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 no. I'm not gonna be fixing anybody's computers. Like, and to your point, Louise, words matter, right? Like words totally matter. And so I was like, no, I'm not a technology specialist. I said, I will be a technology resource specialist. And I actually changed my
Yeah.
title and put
Yeah.
it on everything because I was like, I will be the person to connect you to things and I will absolutely coach you on what I know. But if I don't know it, I'm going to go and help you by finding a resource because we can't boil the ocean. My other one is the weirdest one. It's like you have to eat an elephant bite by bite. I don't know who
Yeah.
came up with that one, but like that's, you can't eat an elephant in one bite.
but
I don't
elephants
know
are
who's
so
eating
cute.
elephants out there,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Why would we want to eat them? They're so cute and smart.
I
Right.
know. I love elephants. And actually, they are the closest relatives to the manatee, which we find a lot here in Florida, which is where I am.
Sure.
And I love myself a good manatee too.
So Mia, I want to bring it back because I know I want to talk about some of these really great projects that you work on. One in particular, I know that you're working on the CITES project. Folks out there in listening land, that's CITES. That's CITES. And so, but I gotta tell you, I still need to know what CITES stands for. And like, I gotta know, is it like an initiative that I put together? Is it a framework system? Is it a guiding? Is it a guidance? Is it, is it certification? Just give me the lowdown on CITES because I know the work that happens and I know it's impactful, but I need some bare bones about it.
Thanks, Brian. So CITES stands for Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems. That's what that acronym stands
Oh,
for.
okay, right
And
on.
my buddy and amazing colleague, whatever you want to say, brilliant person, Kelly Suding, and the other brilliant person, Louise Perez, are also on this project, which is exciting. Brian, you should come and work with us too. Now that you're
Well, I
going to
didn't
learn
know
how
it
to
was
use
a
it.
secret. It feels like it's a secret menu kind of thing.
It is right. Well, but all are welcome. All are welcome. And so that Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems is a framework, and we have a website for it. And it's also a project through OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs. It's a federal grant, which means whatever we do is free for everybody out there in listening land, which is absolutely amazing, right? That we can provide this service. I've always been so thankful for federal grants as a receiver, like being on the receiving end of that. And it is not an initiative, Brian. Thank you for asking that question, because as someone who's been in schools as a teacher and has supported schools, the last thing, like, initiative is like almost like a bad word, right?
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
it's like you hear initiative and you're like,
Right. The
yeah,
connotation is so negative,
come and go.
Yeah.
right? Like that's going to be here for another 2 years. Let's just wait that out.
Oh, that
Yeah,
it's one more
no,
thing, right? One
Yeah.
more thing to add to
Yeah.
our plate. So
yeah, we are not going to use that bad word. It is not, it's not an initiative at all. It is a framework. And what's great about the CITES framework is that it works with a framework that almost everybody's using right now, which is the UDL framework. And it works with a framework that pretty much 99.9% of districts in the United States are using, which is the MTSS framework, right? It
Oh, yeah.
completely is embedded and works with that and a lot of other district evidence-based practices and policies, right? Like people have the SSIP, which stands for like their state improvement plan.
Yep.
Like your district has it, but also your individual schools has it. Like when we worked at the elementary school, we knew what our school improvement plan was. And that CITES framework works with and is absolutely synergistic in a MTSS and a district school improvement plan.
So it's kind of like, so I often compare UDL to cling wrap as far as like initiatives go, right? Like you put it over this stuff, and like you have all your other little things kind of happening, and it keeps everything tight and keeps everything closed and good, right? Like it's like it sews it up, puts the protective barrier, or kind of connects them. But this seems more like this is the thing that gets in between them, starts to make that bridge between them.
It's like the interconnecting web,
Love that.
like
Love
that you see, because when you think of a web on something, you think of like things being interconnected and this really beautiful. If you think of a spider web and how the lines are connected within a spider web,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's a good web that is being woven, and it definitely connects a lot of different areas. Specifically, what it's meant to do also is to silo bust, right? And we know about silos, man. I mean, anybody who teaches in education knows about silos.
Sure.
Like we have our silos within our schools where it's just like, the English department, or right, and then this is the special education department, and this is like admin, right, and then we have silos within silos. It's like the IT department. What's really amazing about the CITES framework is it says, you know what, silos don't work when we talk about helping remove barriers so that all students can learn.
I love
So
that.
what we're going to do is we're going to take a multidisciplinary approach, which, by the way, y'all, like, it's now 30 years ago that I got my master's. Like Golden Girls, we're talking about like, like I feel like Betty White. I can't believe they were in their 50s during that show. But anyway, sorry. So 30 years ago when I got my master's, I was actually on a multidisciplinary team working in a way as the educator with other people from other disciplines at the Mailman Center. And that 30 years ago was the best way of work, right? This was the evidence-based practice, right? So 30 years later, we're now saying, hey guys, like, this is what works. Let's get this multidisciplinary team together. It's been working for years. We have the evidence to show that when we get people working together out of their disciplines for a cause like this, helping all students learn, especially students with disabilities, things will stick, right?
Right.
Yeah, so get in where you fit in, right?
Yeah.
Get in where you
So,
fit in.
yeah, that's important. We have an AT person, assistive technology person, an ed tech person, an IT, informational technology person, curriculum people, and most important, truly, is that family representative, that family and guardian representative on that team. And for those who can't see me right now, I am of Italian American heritage. My mom was an immigrant, and so I'm talking with my hands and putting out my fingers so that you guys can see that was 5 people. But yeah, so we asked for that multidisciplinary team to get the work done, and it makes sense. It breaks down the silos, and it gets buy-in.
Yeah, I think when we were, because I go way back with sites, when we were first thinking about it, and one of the metaphors that we came up with was the idea of braiding, right? That we're taking all these different strings and we're bringing them together so that we're leveraging the strengths of all these different systems that often kind of work independent of each other. But when we bring them together, we really create something that's a lot stronger, right? And so you mentioned, so let's break it down a little bit more for people because they can go to the website, of course, CITES, CITES.cast.org. But there's different components to the CITES framework, and then there's different audiences. And I'm so glad that you mentioned families and caregivers and guardians, right? Because they're often our partners in doing a lot of this work. It can't just stop at the end of the school day, right? Kids have lives, believe it or not, after 3 or 2 p.m. So tell us a little bit more about the framework itself. What are the components of it? And then if you're a parent or caregiver or guardian, what can you find? Like, what are the different audiences for this project?
So yeah, the framework has practices, right? And those overarching practices are in leadership, infrastructure, teaching, learning, and assessment. So we have those 5 areas, right? 5 overarching practices. And those are really important uh, for districts as they're learning how to create this ecosystem, this inclusive technology ecosystem. But you specifically asked, Luis, about parents and families. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because those 5 practices are surrounded or enveloped by family and caregivers and guardians, right?
Mhm.
Because that connection, that family, caregiver, guardian input, and actually it's a back and forth, right? There's input and then there's information given and back for input is so important in this whole process. If we don't have the family caregiver feedback loop going on, we're not going to have the buy-in that we need, and we're not going to have the success that we need
Mhm.
for the students in K-12 that we all care about. It's for every single student. So does that help?
Absolutely, that's really helpful. And again, people can find out more. We encourage you to visit the website and take a look at the different resources that are available and think about ways that you can use them in your setting.
Well,
You can customize them.
yeah. And on our website, we actually have a whole area under more. If you look on our website, if you go to more, there's information there about, well, first of all, my favorite one, especially for families and parents and caregivers, but for pretty much anybody, is our glossary.
Mhm.
Because when we talk about language again, and I always come back to language because language is a connector and important. When we talk about language, we want everybody to understand. It's like literally the foundation of the house. We can't build this house of inclusive technology, right? If we don't have the foundational language that we all understand. And I know that in education, we love our acronyms, right? And
Right.
what's even worse is like, the acronyms don't get any easier. Like I had a hold on the acronyms when I was at the district level and supporting them. And I felt like I had a hold when I was a teacher. But then I came to the federal level at CAST, and there was a whole other set of acronyms that I was like literally stopping everybody like every other minute and being like, can you explain what that is? Can you explain? So again, Brian, going back to that whole conversation that we were having before about like, you don't have to know everything. Like
Yeah.
at my age, I'm still learning all these things. So for
Right?
those of you who are just learning right now or feeling like, you're having some struggle because you're older and you feel like you should know it, no, you're just always going to be learning. And that glossary can give you that support that you need to know that language, because
That's
I
great.
am not going to go in there and talk to an IT guy in their
Mhm.
language because I don't know
Right.
it, but the glossary gives me that, right?
Oh, that
Um,
sounds like a practice that we get from another framework we know and love at CAS, right? Having a
oh, what's
glossary to
Yeah.
that?
clarify
Right.
vocabulary. I'm
That's
Oh
just
yeah. Yeah.
right.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. That is something. That sounds like that could be a thing.
It could be a
Yeah.
I
thing.
got to be honest with you. I think we're running out of letters, y'all, and I'm gonna start advocating for us to start using wingdings as potential new letters for acronyms.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
And Mia, I know that one of the things I appreciate about you is the passion and the joy that you bring to this work. And people will find that on the site's website too, right? Because I think we have some games on there,
We
right?
do. We do have games because I love gamified anything. I don't know about you guys, but like I in general I learn better with games. Although I'm not am I a competitive person? Do you guys think? I mean, I don't
You're
think I'm
you're
a
a
Well,
competitive
collaborative
person.
person. You
yeah,
are a
I
collaborative
decline. I
person.
decline to answer that.
I think
I
Kelly
don't
might be
want
pretty
to step into
competitive.
that.
I don't think I am. I don't.
You're not wrong. I don't think you're wrong about that.
So I do appreciate those people out there like me who are like not as competitive, and so like sometimes when you hear the word game, you think, oh, someone has to win. Like
Yeah.
it's
No.
very universally designed. These games, we have a game for the assistive technology myths and facts.
That was the brainchild of Christine Fox, our wonderful co-project director, who's also the ed tech guru on the team, having been in ed tech for years before she came to CITES. She's the ed tech to my assistive technology.
We're the disseminating partner for the assistive technology myths and facts, which if that's something that someone's been hearing for the first time on the Learning Experience podcast, let me tell you, 2 years ago, the department, OSERS, Office of Special Education Rehabilitation Services. Woo! I got that acronym
Exactly.
just
That's why we
now.
need wingdings.
Woo! They released, in partnership with the Office of Ed Tech at the time, the assistive technology myths and facts guidance, which is this is the first time ever that that's been done at the government level, which is so exciting. And we have links to that all on our website. And it's to help people understand, but also to get rid of the misconceptions that are surrounding assistive technology, right? Because there's so many misconceptions out there. I mean,
Mhm.
I could count, to infinity, and probably there's that many misconceptions, right? So there's these 28 myths and facts that we've taken and created beautiful graphics, again, free, because for those of you who didn't hear it the first time, everything on our site is free to you.
Free
It's
99.
right, free 99. Oh, there's someone who says that out there, an ed tech guy that says that out there, and I love it. Free 99, free freemium. There's no freemium. You don't have to buy it. It's just free.
But if you
So
do want to make a donation, you can just send that directly into the learning experience care of Brian Dean. That's totally fine. You could do
We'll
that.
share
Yeah.
our
But
Venmo.
not only is it free, but we also put a Creative Commons license. So
Yeah.
the
yeah,
idea is
That's
that
important. That's huge.
you
That's
can
huge.
remix this stuff, right? You can
yes, yes,
modify it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
So
good.
with that said, like, so Mia, you have broken down the components of the CITES framework. We've talked a little bit about the resources. Again, in the show notes, we'll have the link to the website so everyone can really dive in. But let's talk about that inclusive technology ecosystem. I know we're kind
Right
of
on.
running down on time. So can you speak a little bit about what is so important about having that ecosystem?
Well, there's obviously a lot of reasons why you want to have a inclusive technology ecosystem. The first being that all students get to learn and learn in the way that they can best show what they know, right? Especially students with disabilities. So I don't know anybody out there when asked the question, who should learn doesn't say all students. We want all, like, especially teachers, right? Anybody working in education, they want all students to learn, but they just don't necessarily always know how, right? And that's the difference. So there's a lot of frameworks out there. That's a difference with the CITES framework that I just absolutely love. The framework not only gives you those practices that I was talking about, it gives you sub practices, right? So it breaks it down for you, which, we know is a nice little evidence-based practice, and somewhere probably in universal design for learning frameworks about breaking things down, right? And then on top of that, it gives you action steps for a roadmap. So a lot of times you get a framework and it tells you the what, but it doesn't tell you the how.
Yeah.
But here we're telling districts the how. And that's the question that they want answered, right? Like, it's not like, okay, well, it's important for you to get together and look at your infrastructure and see what services you have. Like, do you have text to speech built in? Like, what are the accessibility and universally designed accessible technology that you have there, right? So someone might get together and they'd be like, well, okay, we'll look at it, and I guess we have it. But this actually tells you the exact steps that you need to do and gives you resources on how to break it down. Like, we even have these wonderful resource sheets that you can use when examining your infrastructure. We have information about, here's another one, here's an acronym, VPAT. Those of you who work in IT, you know what a VPAT is, right? And accessibility. Would any of you guys like to? That one I'm not going to define.
It's a voluntary product
something.
accessibility template. So it's
That's
just
it.
a form that vendors can fill out, sort of documenting their accessibility claims. And when we fill it out, it's known as an accessibility conformance report. So that's what you're asking for before you purchase a product or you vet it for accessibility. This is what the vendor provides that outlines their accessibility claims.
Yeah. So if you don't know what a VPAT is, we have the glossary, but then we also have the information on how to use it on the website.
Yeah.
In addition, y'all may have heard of this thing. Maybe the learning experience talked about it last year, called the Title II ADA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds like something. Yeah.
That's coming down for districts and states and school systems and a lot of other people to look at. So the CITES framework can help you get a leg up on getting that team together, right? So that you are prepared for this, because it is coming down the pike.
Right
and
on.
you want to be prepared.
So, Mia, I have a question then, because I always want to bring it back to being practical for everybody that's listening out there. Like, having this system sounds great, but because it is a system and it's this interconnected web, that seems really complex, right? So, like, if you were to give one suggestion or maybe two suggestions on where do I start as a district? Like, where do I start to build like this inclusive technology ecosystem, which is a dope phrase, and I think it's fantastic, but like, I still I have a feeling that I would get lost. So what are your top two recommendations on where to
Okay.
start?
Well, I might do three. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's
I'm
all
a little
right.
long-winded here, but number one, our website is a rabbit hole. I've said it prior to even coming to CITES, right? There's so much information. So, Brian, you're right. I always warn people, there's so much information, you're going to get lost, right?
Yeah.
So, that being said, if you are coming from a district lens, things that you want to immediately look at and just go to the search bar, right? Are using our let me see, I'm looking at it right now. You're going to go to more and you're going to go to resources. And then under resources, you're going to grab yourself a CITES self-assessment.
Okay.
That's where a lot of districts like to start. Now, personally, I would love it if every district just started with looking at their own inclusive technology vision. We're working with states and districts right now across the country. Shout out to our intensive technical assistance states, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nebraska. They are bravely going through this roadmap right now, and they have all worked on creating an inclusive technology vision. And I got to tell you, just in that one step, which is an action step on our website, they have all learned so much. The feedback is incredible,
Right on.
especially from what they're getting from their community, because you want that buy-in. However, a lot of people are not going to necessarily have that team together yet. And these self-assessments you would want to do and get together with a team, that multidisciplinary team that we're talking about. However, you can even just take it yourself and go, oh, I'm looking at these rubrics and I'm thinking we have some holes missing here. And now we're going to take our top 3 and start working on those as goals.
Okay,
Right?
right on.
So that's one for you. Another place that people like, and I did what before I came to CITES, is we have these wonderful facilitator guides that are attached to these amazing videos that are only 5 minutes. And again, it's free, right? And these facilitator guides can be used for professional learning, and
Right on.
you
Oh,
can
okay,
adapt
right on.
them to your needs. And it's on our landing page. If you go down, it's called Video Series Inclusive Technology Systems, and there's 5 videos along with 5 free facilitator guides that you can turn into 2 days of learning. You can chunk them down. You can put them in a learning management system. And they're the what and why of inclusive technology, which is fabulous. And you'll recognize some people. Michelle's on one of these. Cultivating a culture of inclusive practices. The CITES Framework, and inclusive technologies in a multi-tiered system of support, which, Brian, to your point, MTSS is very much an entry point for
Yeah.
inclusive technology systems. And Kelly, to your question about why is it so important to have it, because it makes that MTS system so much stronger, right? Because inclusive technology is in all areas of that MTSS system.
Say that again, because that for the folks in the back that didn't quite hear it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those you speak whole chest with. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
that
And
is
we have a lit
important.
review to prove it, Brian. We ain't just
Uh-huh.
talking about
That's
it.
right.
We
Right.
have the lit review on the website to prove it.
Nice.
You'll find that there in resources, along with a lit review on leadership and family. It's some good stuff.
Dope. Dope. I appreciate that, Mia, because I gotta be honest, like this seems like like I got a teacup brain, you know what I mean? And like sometimes when things like this come down, it's like a fire hose trying to fill it. You know what I'm saying? So like I just get so those two recommendations, they have a lot of depth to them already, but like at least it gives me a starting point, and I appreciate that.
Well, I'm going to go back to the beginning and our latte conversation.
Hmm.
Take a sip. Sip
Yeah.
it little by little,
Nice.
right? You don't have to
Look at
drink the
you.
whole cup all at once. Just take
Nice.
take a
Look at you.
sip
Did
here and
you did you
there.
and Kelly go to the same training for hosting and segue and bringing it back around?
I,
You guys
I,
are
I
killing
had
it. I love it.
I had to bring it around to our the start of our conversation. So
Luis, you're making me hungry and now making me think about tapas too, right? Like I love the whole tapas.
Yeah, small plates.
For
Oh,
those
that's
of
not
you
bad
who like
too.
Spain and just eating small bites, it's very
Yeah.
similar. Like we're gonna be doing
take a
food
small bite.
references and accessibility references all day long, all
So
day.
Mia, as we wrap up here, because we're running short on time. So again, what's the website? What do you got coming up? Is there anything you want to plug? I know you have some learning opportunities for people that they can tap into as well. So if they want to actually not just visit the website, but they want to tap into some people, because we have some great people at
Yes.
CAST, starting with you, right? So where can they find you?
So they can find me at my email or through the CITES website, which we've shared. We will be sharing my email on this podcast also. They can also find me at the CITES Community of Practice, which is launching in September, which we hope that all of you will join that are listening. It is for everybody. You just heard who CITES is for. CITES is for every stinking area of profession. We're trying to bust those silos. We already have a ton of people from higher ed and from all over the country, and we all over the world. And we'd love you to join. And that's bit.ly/join JOIN, and then CITES, all capital letters, CITES. And we do that quarterly. So we hop on a Zoom and we talk about different topics around inclusive technology. And then we started last year something called Tech Insights. Get it? There's that pun. Tech Insights. Yeah. And that's a half an hour webinar on the fourth Thursday of the month at 1 to 1:30 Eastern time. And we are starting with some really exciting information that we just got back from a survey about AT-UDL in districts, in schools. Over 500 people participated in that survey, from administrators to teachers to family members. And so we're going to be sharing the information, like, what do you know or not know about what the United States understands about AT and UDL in schools. So that's going to be super exciting. And then we're doing a series of your profession in inclusive technology. So what's it like to be a IT director in an inclusive technology system? So we're going to having some great guests there. And then finally, you'll see me in the AI and UDL community, where I will be facilitating that UDL cast is hosting. It's like, I think, over 1,000 people. It's amazing.
That's
We're
right.
all in there.
Yes, ma'am.
We hope
I
you can
just
join us.
approved like 40 more this morning.
Yeah, it's crazy, and hope you all can join us. So we're going to be in there talking about inclusive technology AI, which is a direct connect, and we are going to be adding some information to that on our website also. And finally, this year we're excited that we're going to be releasing some more facilitator guides for the assistive technology myths and facts. So those who want to share that and bust myths with families and staff and anybody, we're going to be having that to look forward to. A big shout out to our targeted technical assistance districts. We have 7 from all over the country that are starting in their first cohort coming up in September. So we're very excited for all of those guys who are going through the CITES Framework ecosystem roadmap with us.
And depending on when you're listening to this podcast, like those Tech Insight sessions, a lot of that is recorded. So you could always go to the website and you can follow along.
You all down in the lab cooking.
That's
Just
right.
building everything.
So many awesome things happening with CITES and the project. So keep your sights on Mia. See what I did there?
Are on site. Yeah. That's right. Keep your sights on inclusive technology.
That's right. So Mia, thank you again for joining us. I have no doubt our listeners are going to feel and see your passion through just the audio of this podcast. So we're so grateful. Again, we'll have everything in the show notes, and to learn more about CITES, to make sure you check that out. So we're so grateful for you, my friend.
Thank you, Kelly. And just remember out there, everybody, inclusive technology can't happen without you, right? Take that you out. It's not the same. So we need everybody. And thank you so much for having us here to talk about CITES.
That's right. And don't forget to leave a comment. If you're following us on Apple or on Spotify, please drop us a comment. It really does help us. I mean, we trying to move up the charts and into everybody's hearts. So, the more likes and follows that we get, the better off we are. And for me, as always, it's peace, love, and belly rubs to all y'all.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Learning Experience Podcast. We are so glad you're a part of this conversation.
And if you're like me and today's episode sparked some ideas or got your brain flowing, well, just remember, there's so much more to explore out there.
And remember that CAST is leading the way when it comes to accessibility, workforce innovation, professional development, and research.
So visit cast.org to dive deeper. That's CAST.org, and keep learning with us.